everybody. It's another episode of the Two Old Bucks. This is Two Old Buck Dale greeting everybody, and with me is...
I guess I would be Two Old Buck Dave if you're Two Old Buck Dale. Otherwise known as Dave
us
and
old
Dale.
Bucks. Dave and Dale, yeah.
Dale and Dave. We're still here. Still old. That's a good thing.
We should notify that we are remote.
We are remote again. I'm continuing my world travels. Just got back from Nashville, actually, a few hours ago.
Well, it's always good to talk to you. How did that adventure go?
Well, it's always an adventure. It's always an adventure, you know. It's where, my son and his wife and their two sons live. And so I got two grandsons there, 6 and 8. So some of the big excitement is I got my 8-year-old grandson his first skateboard. He had gone to like summer camp down the street. It was just a day thing down the street at a school or a church or something, and he was introduced to skateboarding there, and he thought that was great.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Before you go any further. What did Grandma say about that?
I don't know if we told her until afterwards.
Oh, okay.
I think that's how that worked out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, there was no accident. You could tell you got the skateboard.
Yeah. It was funny. My son said, "Well, there's this new place that just opened." So, it was only, maybe half a mile away from them or so. So it took him in there, and I said, "Hey, this guy's looking for his first skateboard." And the guy said, "Well, that's too bad because we're an inline skate store. We don't sell skateboards." He said, "But the bike shop right up the street does." So that's where we went. So it was like a win-win. I got to talk to another bike shop owner and fitted him up with his first skateboard. He picked an Ozzy Osborne-themed board. It was pretty bizarre. It's like this big skull, long fangs, and he had no idea who Ozzy Osbourne is or was. It
was a cool looking board.
It was a cool looking board. Yeah. So we got home.
I would think that would be pretty exciting. I mean,
think
about that.
Yeah.
That's a skill level. You know what I mean? A certain coordinating kind of thing. And the whole time you were saying, okay. What do you have to do? You have to walk alongside him or something? Hold him by his hand
there's no way I could do that. No, he took off. I mean, he had all he already does inline skating. Okay, so he had the elbow pads and the hand pads and the knee pads, and he had a helmet on, so he was all geared up. So he knew, and he took off, and we just went up and down the driveway. He went up and down the driveway, and then we went to a parking lot a couple blocks away that was freshly paved and had a 1 or 2% grade to it. And he took off on that, and he did a big arcing turn, and then he had his first crash. But he rolled with the punches. He was fine.
That's got to be a real
cool
thrill, I think, for Grandpa there.
It was a thrill.
Yeah.
We got a video of that. So, yeah. And he's also doing a graphic novel. Okay, it's called Commander Clementine. Clementine is the name of their dog, so he felt that was a good name for this graphic novel. It deals with a global hot dog shortage, so it's a timely theme.
He's like sketching these things out in
he's sketching.
Yeah,
he is. He's sketching these things out in little boxes, little squares, and adding the verbiage to it. And so where we've gotten so far is some people have had to switch to cheeseburgers because of this global hot dog shortage. But we're looking for Commander Clementine to kind of solve this puzzle here. So we'll see what happens there.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
This young age, he's even understands the concept.
Yeah.
So, well, that's cool.
Yeah. Now
so you had a good trip.
I did. Now his younger brother, who's 6, all right, and it's tough being a little brother. I mean, you're just never good enough kind of thing. So we had a spelling bee, which I gave the words. I handed out, and it was like the name, spelled different fruits and vegetables and everyday things. And the 6-year-old won. He crushed his big brother. So, man, oh man, he grew about 4 inches that day.
Well, Of course, that the siblings all have different characteristics. No doubt about it. And I used to say when I was around 10, 11, 12 years old, and people would ask how they, what are they going to be like in the future? I say, hey, bring him back when he's 18. I'll give you a rough idea. Otherwise it could go anyway. So,
it could go anyway. It could go anyway.
I'm glad you had fun.
We did. We had a lot of fun. It was a great time. We're gonna keep doing it. So what about you? What'd you do this weekend?
Oh, this weekend I had a little bit of a run-in with the healthcare system.
Not again.
Sometimes you feel an ache or a pain around your heart, or it could be like mostly probably something you ate, but think, oh no, it's appendicitis. Oh no, I've got this, that, or the other thing, and your mind starts to get a bit. You start worrying.
Yeah.
My attitude is, I'm not worried about what's going to kill me. I just hate these aggravating things. I just want to fix this thing so I can fix my eyes so I can see a while longer or something. So anyhow, I decide on a Sunday now, I happen to call the number on the back of the Medicare card. Or
that's kind of your first problem, right? It's a Sunday.
It's a Sunday.
I'm just guessing. Okay, go ahead.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
So you know where I'm going. It's Sunday. I said, well, all right, let me get the exact location of people who take this card on a Sunday. And an interesting thing happened here, Dave. There's a number for a nurse line on this card.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I wonder if this works. So I tried and actually got through to a person.
Wow.
I know. And I said, well, how about that? So a lady picked up and I said, I'm feeling kind of like this, and this is looking like that, and I was doing this. What do you think? And she said, well, I don't think you need to go to the emergency room, but you should go get it checked out. Because what can I say over the phone? It's really no diagnosis they can make. But she was very polite about it. I told her what I wanted to do, and and she said, all right, let's try that. So I then called another number on the card and got the address of all the emergency care centers around that would take that card. So I picked the closest, and off I go, and guess what? It was closed.
It was closed. It was Sunday. Come on.
Yeah, it was Sunday.
Jeez.
Oh, no. Now I got to go to Plan B. And Plan B, I know these people. They do take the card. They do take this insurance.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go there because they have a lot of hidden costs. So I walk in. I said, okay, what's my copay? She said, I can't tell you.
Oh, that's comforting.
That's comforting. Yeah. This is the second time this has happened. My computers are down. I can't tell you. And I said, what, like $20? She said, probably more than that.
Probably more. Jeez.
So then I said, the funny thing is that's just the price to pass you. I only give you that $50. I think it's going to be maybe 50. I said, that $50 just gets me in the door. Inside there's a whole different organization that's contracted out to this hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And they have their own billing system. So neither one of them could tell me what the co-pays would be. So this is the second time in about 3 months that's happened. So I'll be getting bills for medical stuff. So
well, they saved you though, right?
Anyhow,
they saved you. You're still here.
Okay. So anyhow, I finally see the lady who's a PA, the physician's assistant.
Yeah.
No doctor. And I give her the lowdown and I test her with questions. And I use all my vocabulary of the medical words that I've learned over the years.
Yeah.
And she tells me this. I said, well, do you think this is going to do that? I said, well, what about this? And she said, this is our best option. I'm going to leave you with this. And go ahead and take this. And I'll call it in, yada, yada, yada. And away we go. So I leave. And I just have my doubts.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was on Monday. I call my primary care physician, and I leave a desperate message on his answering machine. It said, "Doc, if you still love me, you'll call me back. I need a second opinion on this." And of course, he doesn't call until 6 o'clock at night, which he did. And he said, "No, I think they gave you the right stuff. Go ahead and do it, and come back in 10 days if you don't see an improvement or something like that."
Mm-hmm.
But But I'm telling you, the system, it just, you just want to go someplace where you have a reasonable chance of getting a diagnosis and maybe a treatment, where at least they can kick you up a notch, not to wait 3 days and there's 2 weeks till you see an ENT, an ear, nose, and throat guy, which you can never see those guys.
Forget that.
Yeah. Jeez. So anyhow, that was my my encounter with the healthcare system. It is, which I think is lacking a great deal of organization. So that's what I did.
Some things don't change. Yeah. Speaking of getting out of there, what do you think of Mr. Boris Johnson?
Oh, well, it's an interesting segue. That's an interesting segue. Did you listen to his speech, his final speech?
Oh, yeah, boy, that was pathetic too. My gosh. Hey, let's face it. The guy's an alien. I mean, we've known that all along. And I think the whole thing here is he's been recalled to the mothership. So this is all this is all fluff. This is all pretense.
But you know what the pundits say about him? He's a Teflon alien.
Teflon alien.
Yeah, he's had the ability to come up with some I thought really amazing rhetoric.
Yeah, sometimes they get you. Something like that. Yeah,
that people buy into, and he managed to get by. So, but this time they finally stuck together as a group and said, "Listen, let's change it to somebody who's get a decent haircut or something." You know. Like,
that's right.
Hey, but I admire the Brits for doing that. I thought they were pretty good.
Yeah,
they could have followed him right over the cliff.
Yeah, kidding aside,
governments that do that.
Yeah, kidding aside, I mean, you compare that to what it takes to remove a leader in our country.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Impossible. I mean, he can create an insurrection, and he's still, half the people here still love him. Anyway, sorry, we're not going to get down that road.
Anyhow, Boris is on his way out, and we'll see what. But the whole world order, and then of course they assassinate a Japanese prime minister with a homemade gun.
Yeah, jeez.
How about that?
That's terrible.
Well, what got you the most about that particular incident? Just as curious. What is your first reaction to that?
Well, just that it happened in Japan. I mean, that happens, 4 times a day in the U.S. 8 times a day, 20 times a day. I don't know.
Well, I wonder what the old bucks listening to us or the folks listening to us thought. But I would put this thought out there. When you heard that, you thought it happened in Japan.
Yeah.
When I heard it, you know what I thought? I said, a homemade gun.
Yeah.
And I said, and that's not difficult to make.
No,
really.
You can
for a one-shotter.
So. You can buy those kits. Just make your own plastic gun.
Yeah.
I guess it was a plastic gun. I don't know.
You know what it sounded to me like? It was a bunch of powder in a pipe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it was a bit, I don't know how he ignited it, but there was 6 steel balls or something loaded into a.
No, I didn't read into the details. No.
Yeah, well, that's what I was curious about.
Okay. Yeah.
Anyhow, the world is topsy-turvy, and I'm clearly just along for the ride at this stage in life. But I on another subject.
Yeah.
I'm not Mr. Home Improvement anymore because I don't care. You know what I mean? If it works, then I just really don't. I don't need to improve it if it's still working. Aesthetics doesn't mean anything to me.
It sounds like you've failed in another project here, or
no.
Are we coming around to that?
Well, it's always something, right?
It's always something.
For example, a neighbor of mine just has a complete, beautiful kitchen. I mean, a kitchen any woman would just love. Beautiful, beautiful tile and well designed.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful white granite countertops and all that stuff like that. And he gets his beautiful new stove to put in the beautiful new hole where they left for the stove. And of course, it wasn't square. So the stove would only slip down only three quarters of the way down the hole. Then it, sort of tapered.
It wedged.
And it wedged in there. And now he's got to call him back and they got to redo the top or else do something. So it's always something.
So they didn't bother to measure. Okay.
So here's my something.
Okay.
And you understand this. It happens to you too. We laugh about this all the time, the stuff we get into. I decided to put a new shower head in. There was a deal on a little shower head, kind of one of the ones with a magnet on it, and you can swing it around and practically wash your car with it out in the driveway.
Okay, yeah. Everybody has one of those.
Yeah. So the old one, which was a straight shower head on a pipe sticking out of the wall, had a rack on it for all the junk that you keep in your rubber ducks and your 16 bars of soap and 14 this and that and 18 selections of shampoo or whatever. One of them racks.
Got it. Yep.
You got it. It's hanging off of that pipe, right?
Yep.
So you're thinking ahead. You realize when I do put the new shower head on, this rack now becomes obsolete.
Not going to have anything to hang on.
Right. Nothing to hang on. It won't work. Oh my.
Oh boy.
And so I'm searching around for something to put, all this junk on. So I had to rig something up. I had to MacGyver something on the curtain rod. The curtain rod.
The curtain rod. Got it.
Yeah.
I'm still with you. Yeah. We're in the shower. We got a curtain. We got a curtain rod.
Right. So I had to rig something up that would work on that would function as a storage bin for all the stuff people carry. Anyhow, but it's always something.
It's always something.
So you think it's going to be a simple job. You come back with the right stuff. You can take 2 minutes to put it on, and then you have a problem. Then you have to start thinking, I'm going to figure it out. So
I feel your pain, buddy. I feel your pain.
I know you do.
I know. Yeah. I got some science news and I need to report. I'm all excited about this stuff, about some of it anyway.
All right.
You ready for this?
I'm sitting here with bated breath.
Bated breath, okay. Well, first of all, it's the 10-year anniversary of the discovery of the Higgs boson particle. You remember that? The Higgs boson?
I do.
The Large Hadron Collider.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that was 10 years
ago. Mr. Higgs and Mr. Boson.
Well, there's a Mr. Higgs, for sure. There's no Mr. Boson.
Well, I like to think there is.
There, and maybe, there is a Mr. Boson. I was just kidding. Yeah. So, since then, scientists have produced another 100 quadrillion proton collisions in the collider, and no more new particles have been discovered. What do you think of that?
I'm thinking we have reached the end of the line there. We can shut that thing down.
Man, oh man, just think of it.
I think something that was even more amazing than that occurred to me when it came to science.
Yeah.
Did you see those photos?
Oh, yeah. That's the thing I was going to talk about next, actually. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
The Webb. Yeah. Well, let's talk about them. I thought they were amazing. And these are just the first pictures we're getting. They're looking back, or they're hoping to look back 13.7 billion light years. That's only 100 million years after the Big Bang. It's as near as we can estimate.
Now, for the uninitiated, how can you look back in time for light?
Well, okay, because the light that's reaching us now was emanated from those stars a long time ago, and it's taken this long to get to our eyeballs, or at least to get to the telescope size. Okay, they get to our eyes too, but we don't see anything because it's.
So what we're seeing is simply light from some star, someplace. It may or may not be there now.
It may or may not be there now, right? We're seeing something that was, how many light years away, long. So yeah, they could have supernovaed away by this time. But anyway, this is the way it looked back then. So we can look back. It's a way to look back in time. Basically, it's fascinating. It's amazing to me.
I still don't see what we're seeing. All we're seeing is some lights. You see a bright spot in the sky. So what difference does it make? It's not like it comes back with some kind of a coat on it.
What I mean? You've seen the pictures, right?
I do. I did.
It's amazing. You see all the dust that's that's going to be forming into solar systems, into sun, into stars, and I think it's just incredible. And they're using the infrared spectrum here, so they're seeing things that you wouldn't see that a visual, just a visual wavelength telescope would see.
Mm. Well, so, this Dell Webb telescope
is not Del Webb. Del Webb's that's the guy that makes golf courses. Oh. Maybe it is the same guy. I don't know.
Okay, well, James Webb. Yeah, James Webb. Yeah,
James Webb. Okay, yeah.
I think it's absolutely beautiful. I think it's amazing. I'm not trying to read anything more into it other than the fact that I'm thinking there's got to be, amongst all of that stuff out there's got to be somebody that probably maybe they've already expanded to their own galaxy, but there must be another race of people or things or something out there somewhere.
Oh, that reminds me again. I was talking to my 8-year-old grandson about that. He had seen the pictures. We saw them on the news, blah, blah, blah. And he said to me, and, totally unprompted, he said, there has to be other life out there. He said, there have to be other species. And he didn't say species. And I said, yeah, I said, I'm pretty sure they are. I said, they may or may not look like us. I said, they probably don't. He said, it'd be cool if they did. I said, yeah, but, they may look like octopuses or I don't know. It could be bugs, but there's got to be more out there.
And I think the distance involved simply, say, to the end of our solar system. It takes such a long time to get there that, no one's worried about running into them at this point, unless there was a galaxy, unless they really had a starship like the USS Enterprise.
Yeah. Well, you remember we talked about the Voyager some time ago. You remember the Voyager? Mm-hmm. And you had said, well, it's out beyond the solar system. And I said, no, it isn't. Of course, you were right. It's amazing. You were actually right. You were Mr. Science for a change. So I just looked at that for comparison. Now, it was launched in 1977. It's now 14 billion miles away. Do you know how many 14 billion miles. Do you know how many light years that is?
No.
That's 0.002 light years.
And they're talking 180 light years away, or
they're
2
talking,
million light years away.
Yeah, million. 13 million light years away. Billion.
Thank you for saying
crazy numbers.
That I was right.
You were right.
that is my goal to have been to someone to say yes, he was right.
He was right.
And I seek neither fortune or fame, but I would like to know that I was right on some subjects. And how do I know that?
How do you know that?
How do I know that? I know that.
Tell me how you know that.
I know that when over coffee, I will throw out a tidbit to you, perhaps that comes and goes. Mm-hmm. And then a real expert, someone with all the credentials, with all the education and whatever belongs to the right organization, comes up and says the same thing.
Said, "Yep, you're right, Mr. Dell."
Yeah, that's right. I want to do that fist pump, that those golfers do when they win the tournament. I was right. The trouble is, there's no one to hear me say it except you. And thank you for listening to me just when I tell you these stories. So I was right most of the time.
What were you saying? I wasn't paying attention. No.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Well, even when you don't pay attention, I always remind you 2-3 times until you catch up.
I try.
Yeah. So.
Hey, I got one other thing here. Speaking of long distances, we're talking about long distances here. We're halfway through to the Tour de France this year. They just completed the 11th stage today. There's 21 altogether. Basically runs the month of July. And a big change today. The guy who had held the yellow jersey the last several stages. That's the guy who won the last 2 years. He cracked on the big mountain today, and he lost 3 minutes. He's now about 2.5 minutes down. So we have a new leader. It's pretty spectacular.
Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. The wife and I were watching that on television the other day, and I was trying to explain to her how that works, because clearly it was a stage. there was a start and finish to the stage, and
yep.
And it was very deceptive to me as to how close these people were to each other, until I got a long shot, a camera shot, and he wasn't very far behind going down the hill, and they were flying.
Mm-hmm.
And then I said, I think I said that this is the way they do this is, even though you came into second in the stage, you have so many minutes.
Right. It's your total time.
It's your total time. And then, so you may win a yellow jersey, I think, for a stage or two, and then maybe you'll fall behind. But in the overall standing, you could win the entire race.
Right. Right.
That's the way it works.
That's the way it works. So you have.
Do they race every day?
Well, they have rest days. I think they have 3 rest days this year. They need them. Believe me, these guys are beat up. This is just incredible.
I would think it's a grueling thing. And I had another question to you. You've seen some of that territory, haven't you?
Some of that. Yeah, I've ridden some of that stuff. I've seen. I saw them racing in Spain a little bit.
But even if you were on at least one leg that had a mountainous.
Yep.
course.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, coming down those things, isn't it like hairy to be coming down there, and they're pedaling?
These guys go
I thought
crazy
they were going
fast.
up the hill. They were pedaling like crazy, and I think they're going downhill.
They pedal downhill too. Yeah. It's crazy speeds. They'll hit. They'll go over 50 miles an hour sometimes.
Oh.
On a bicycle with 1 inch wide tires. Yeah. It's just they're incredible.
And then these fans are jumping out in front of them. And he's trying to make a straight path, and they're jumping out, and he's going this side and that side. I know it actually is quite exciting, even though I'm not a racer. I think it's every bit as thrilling as a big circular track, because you just never know. And then my wife says, "A Peloton? Are they driving those bikes that we see on television called the Peloton?" I said, "No. I said that's the name of that string of people together." So
that's the pack. Yeah.
How many more legs, Dave?
Well, they got 10 more.
10
more. And the last one, they ride to Paris. That's kind of ceremonial. Whoever's in the lead at before the last stage, they generally will kind of
is given a little bit of an edge there or something.
Well, they're not gonna try to take the jersey away from him on the final stage.
Oh, okay.
Because it's kind of a ceremonial stage. Yeah. I mean, they still have time. They'll still record times, and it's a time for the sprinters to show their stuff. And although at least one tour was won on the final stage. But anyway.
Oh, we'll give our customers or our listeners an update on that, because you're attuned to that, and I find it fascinating too. So we'll talk about it again.
All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
What else is on your little mind here?
Oh, I could go on and on. I think a lot of little subjects. Catching some news things about sharks, and there's just all kind of things that we throw up over coffee all the time. But I
don't want you throwing up over coffee.
I don't think it's buckworthy at this time. So
okay.
I would like to invite all our listeners, if have any comments, any thoughts on anything, or subjects that they want us to analyze, critique, or talk about. We'll gladly do that at buckstoold@gmail.com.
Yeah. That's the place. Yeah.
I would leave you with one last thought. I did pick up a book. Someone said, "Here, read this." And since I was desperate for something to read, I picked it up, and I'll tell you more about it in the future. And it turned out to be an author that's everybody knows, and it's actually kind of interesting. Kind of giving something off the big stack.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm in the middle of a short story collection right now. It's up and down. It's a collection. So, and hey, I do it. Well, we did get a letter from afar here. One of our longtime listeners said, "I don't understand. You talked about Dale driving, and you talked about you guys passing your driving test the same time, but you also said that Dale's not allowed to drive. Did we ever say that?"
That he's not allowed to drive?
Yeah, that he does. You don't drive, and you're not allowed to drive. I don't remember. Now this guy claims, he says, go back to the podcast and listen to what you said. So if we said that, I don't remember saying that, but hey, well, come on.
If that is a question in the letter, does Dale drive? He does, not too much at night. And I think my co-driver tells me pretty much how to drive. So technically I have the wheel, but
yeah.
I'm not in charge of the car.
Not in charge of the car. Maybe that was a misunderstanding. Okay.
There's a stop sign ahead. You better slow down.
All right.
No, I still do drive, but I don't enjoy it as much anymore. I can't see as well. So.
All right. So, well, listen. On that note. I think it's time for us to part ways here again. Unfortunately.
Well, good talking to you, everybody out there listening.
Likewise. And
old Buck Dale saying thank you for listening. Bye.
And it's old Buck Dave right behind him saying, thank you also, folks. Take care. Listen next time. Bye-bye.